Voting is underway in Angola in what's expected to be its closest election in decades. The ruling party of President João Lourenço is aiming to extend its 47 years in power. But frustration at rising poverty and inflation is fueling a strong challenge from the opposition coalition. 8 political parties are contesting the vote. The frontrunner is the governing People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola, or MPLA. It's led by the current president. His main rival is Adalberto Costa Jr. He leads UNITA, that's the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola. Costa is seeking a mandate to reduce poverty and tackle corruption. He says the country's oil wealth has mainly benefited its elites. More than 2/3 of the population are under 30 years old. Some analysts say this demographic is likely to determine the election outcome. Let's bring in Paula Cristina Roque. She is an independent analyst and the author of Governing in the Shadows, Angola's Securitized State. She joins us via Zoom from Lisbon. Thank you very much for your time. How significant is this election then, and the fight being put up now by the opposition?
Well, this is an existential election for Angola. It's the first time in 30 years that the opposition is set to win. The population wants change, and they're voting for change. The new president came in 5 years ago on a reform ballot, but he reformed essentially for his party to survive. He didn't reform for the nation to survive. And so we've seen a deterioration in living standards. Poverty has grown exponentially. And so people are at a stage where they're saying, well, they have very little to lose. So the opposition that has rallied in very combative, a very effervescent, dynamic and interesting campaign have said, well, they've had 47 years of government. Now it's a chance for us to govern, and we will govern differently. We will decentralize power. We will broaden the economic development opportunities to the Angolans and not just to the elites. We will change the constitution, and we will decentralize a power that has been very much characterized by the hegemonic program of the ruling MPLA.
I know some have expressed some concerns about post-election violence. What's your take? Is that a real possibility?
It is a real possibility, unfortunately. We've already seen the government is very aware, and they're afraid of that too. They've already set a big security apparatus on the streets. The entire police force has been mobilized and deployed. We've seen armored vehicles with the anti-riot police being deployed all over the capital, and I presume all over the provincial capitals of the main provinces in Angola. And they've also called for stability and predictability. They're using an old rhetoric which they've used in the past, which has been, if the opposition wins, we will have chaos, we will have instability, Angola will go back to war, which is an impossibility because the opposition has disarmed in the last 20 years. They've been a political party, not a rebel movement. And this time, they're using the same rhetoric. It's a securitized rhetoric that mobilizes fear and threat and posts the opposition as a threat to national security. But they're talking to an audience that didn't experience the war, because the majority that are voting today are youths. So also the issue is the opposition and civil society and the churches have been alerting to the irregularities that have characterized the electoral process in the run-up to voting as it's happening today. And so there are many concerns that these will be rigged elections like they have been in the past, and that people won't accept the results because they're expecting change. The expectation is high. And so the opposition will appeal for calm, because they know if people take to the streets, they will be met with force and live bullets. Unfortunately, that's the reality of a securitized state like Angola. But we just don't know if there will be a sense of spontaneous anger at the street level. Hopefully not.
We will be monitoring it, of course, on Al Jazeera. Thank you for your time, Paula Cristina Roque there, an independent analyst.